Gotcha.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
All right. We're going to go ahead and open for questions for Austin. If you have one, please raise your hand and we'll get to as many as we can. And to kick us off, we're going to start with Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Austin, it's kind of a year since the world changed, especially the sports world, and with everything shutting down. You obviously, the story of your team potentially shutting down as well last year. Can you kind of take me through, a year ago, late March or from middle of March into early April for you, and kind of compare it to how you're feeling about things today?
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point. It's funny. I actually thought about that a little bit this week, just knowing that, this week was the week last year that everything changed for everyone. And obviously every week that we had off was a week that we needed to be on the racetrack. So in a lot of ways, and obviously Roger touched on that after winning the championship. I think we all kind of knew in the back of our minds that there were some challenges for us to continue the year if we didn't get races early on. I give a ton of credit to NASCAR. Obviously, we say it a lot that NASCAR was the first professional sports league to get back on track, but that was a huge catalyst for me to be able to continue the year last year and my team to be able to obviously show what we're capable of. So I'm pretty grateful for those efforts because I know it probably helped a lot of other people out too, but definitely a big deal for us.
And also, I was just curious if there's any update on your Cup schedule. Do you know when your next race is going to be?
No updates. I think we're getting a little bit more clarity as you get more races in and see the guys that enter races and don't enter races. The challenges, as I've said before, are just who enters the races and if we have enough points. I think we're the 33 cars, like 36th in Cup owners points. So I would say a lot of the races that we're looking at that don't have practice or qualifying are looking good so far, and hopefully some updates soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Jenna Fryer. Go ahead, Jenna.
Hey, Austin. Ty Gibbs is going to be back in the Xfinity race this week, and I want to ask you a couple of things about that. I could be totally wrong. It seemed to me like you were really racing him hard. You were in a good car. You were pushing this kid that had never been out there in that car before as hard as he was going to be pushed in that race, and he still kind of was able to handle it. Is that accurate? Is that an accurate assessment of mine?
Yeah, absolutely. At Daytona, I said it after the race as well. I thought Todd did an incredible job. I put him in some really tough spots, trying to hang on to the lead. Obviously, we had some damage, and that made my life really difficult. And I knew that if I got behind, my shot of winning was a lot less. So, look, he handled everything really well, and obviously was in a position on those restarts and made some decisions and won the race because of it. So. I thought he did a great job, and obviously over racing is definitely, it was for me, obviously the next step. I feel like he's showcased that he has the pace and he has the talent, and it's for everyone else to observe and for him to decide, how the next couple races are going to go. So it's cool for him. It's a great opportunity, and I'm sure he'll do well with it.
Is it an anomaly that he did so well in his first race out? Like should people expect him because it is a good car, that he should be very good again at Phoenix?
Look, he'll obviously have capable equipment, but I think for you to have an anomaly, you have to have more of a data set. So he's only done one race. So I think he'll do just fine.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, our next question is going to come from Devon Henry. Go ahead.
Thanks, Amanda. First of all, Austin, great backdrop. Second of all, I'm pretty sure that once you win a championship at a track like Phoenix, the target is on your back this weekend. Looking back at notes or even your attitude to the race, what changes besides kind of the time of day this week when it comes to studying for Phoenix?
Yeah, the time of the day is obviously a bit of a factor. But, we had a really great package, a really great race, and we were able to just execute and put ourselves in position to win the championship. So all in all, that was a perfect day. And, we're trying to approach this weekend and learn little things and try and improve upon that package. I don't think we need to do anything crazy and reinvent the wheel because, like I said, we brought an incredibly good race car, and we plan on bringing the same equipment this weekend. So I'm excited for that, excited to see that translate over, excited to see, how other guys have stepped up throughout the off season. And especially at that track, given it's the most important throughout the year. So yeah, it'll be a great baseline for us heading into hopefully running the championship 4.
Thanks, Austin. Have fun this weekend.
Thanks, man.
All right. Our next question is going to come from Marty with RSN Trackside. Go ahead, Marty.
Thanks, Amanda. Austin, thanks for your time. Hope you're doing well, man. 2 questions for you. One, looking back at Saturday's race at Las Vegas, very competitive overall with all the different drivers we had up front. Are you impressed with how competitive this series has been this year? And do you think this has been the most competitive this series has been since you started racing full time?
Yeah, I think we get into a couple more races, I'll probably have a better idea. I think Vegas was probably the first race you could sit down in all 3 series and recognize who's done the work in the off season and who's come more prepared and who has speed. I think you saw that on Sunday as well. So, I think the guys at Colleague have definitely stepped up, and obviously AJ's brought that program forward as well. So, it's cool to see him win, but I want to beat him. So at the same time, we got to keep getting better. I think everyone around us is getting better. So there's no reason to stop trying. That's for sure. So it'll be interesting to see how competitive it stays. Like I said, I felt like there's a lot of guys that ran up front of Vegas and were able to have some speed in the cars, and a lot of it came down to track position by the end of the race. So something we didn't have. So I look forward to doing more races and probably coming up with more opinions.
And then looking into Phoenix this weekend, obviously PJ1's going to be a factor. I call it the sweet sauce. What factors into the decision on moving from low to the high groove when the PJ1's activated?
Yeah, I think it all depends on what's happened before you race. For us, there's the ARCA race, and I don't believe there's anything else. So we had the truck race on approach last year, and there was a whole weekend of practice and qualifying before we did it in the spring. So I think the factors will maybe be a little bit different for our race versus the championship weekend. So it's a good opportunity to learn more about that traction compound. I think everyone is constantly learning about what gets it activated and what makes it fall off. So I think it'll be another good example of that for us.
Thanks for your time, Austin. Good luck this weekend.
Okay, our next question will come from Kelly Crandall. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thanks, Amanda. Hey, Austin. There was a lot of talk after Las Vegas, after Friday's truck race, where Kyle Busch looked like he spun intentionally, of course, wasn't going to admit it. And then on Saturday, you also had a flat tire, but you got lucky by catching a caution as you were limping around. Does something like that go through your mind? Do you think about trying to ever get away with bringing out the caution yourself, or is that not something that you kind of want in your playbook?
Yeah, I definitely feel like we got almost as lucky as we got unlucky. Obviously, having a tire puncture is never fun. And on the restart, when everyone's got new tires, so you're not even at a tire advantage by putting on tires and missing the pit entry. And I was pretty much in a position where I was going to go 2 to 3 laps down, and had accepted that was going to be my reality. And past that, obviously, I was on the apron in 1 and 2 and saw a car spinning, and we got a new lease on life, and that's pretty much all there is to it on my end. Past that, it was a fight to get back up through the field all day, and we still had a bit of a tire deficit at the end of the race, even for the final restarts. But all in all, like I said, we got a little bit lucky.
Okay, our next question will come from Luis Torres. Go ahead, Luis.
Thanks, Amanda. So you're going into Phoenix with this Pink Panther machine. Just tell us, aside from the colors, how good is to have another partnership in your car this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. The car is obviously pretty striking. It's bright. It's going to be easy to spot and easy to read. Great to have Car Shop on board. I'm excited about that. Obviously, they're part of the Penske Automotive Group, so definitely in-house there, and I'm excited to represent them, help them grow that brand, and honestly pretty proud to have them on our car and have the support of those guys on our program. So looking forward to having that car in a lot of races this year, and hopefully have some success as well.
And when it comes to a quick follow, when it comes to everything that happened with Harrison, it's just one of those deals where have to kind of move on from it. I think if I recall, Harrison hadn't seen the replay by the time he made some of those comments.
Yeah, I honestly don't even know what comments he made, or I just went up to him and talked to him after the race behind the hauler, and we had a good conversation. Harrison and I have raced really well. He's honestly one of the few guys in the field that I know I can race really hard. He's very race smart. He's grown up racing. He's grown up around it, and he can usually race pretty close and pretty hard and not have any issues. So I think we both surprised each other there on the front straightaway, and there's some things to learn from it. But past that, yeah, I think it's behind us as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question will come from Ashley McCubbin. Go ahead, Ashley.
Austin, it seems last year you hit on some speed at Phoenix. What's the secret to being strong there?
Well, I think there's a few factors. Obviously, the tires that they've brought the last couple of years have seemed to fall off a little bit, and depending on short runs versus long runs, your car's balance is very dependent on that. So trying to match that up correctly and trying to have overall speed is important. But then when you throw in the traction compound, that obviously plays a lot of factors. So there's probably more factors at Phoenix than what there was, a couple of years ago. I will say I've done more NASCAR races at Phoenix than any other racetrack. So that there's a certain comfort level with that, knowing where you're at. Obviously I've been to enough of these places enough times in my career, but it's definitely somewhere where I feel really comfortable.
And you mentioned the PJ1 traction compound. How much has that changed the racing at Phoenix?
I definitely think it's changed more than we realize. It's still somewhat of a track position race. It's difficult to pass. You're pretty handling limited at those racetracks. But if you go back and watch past Phoenix races and the lines that we use and the speed that we're carrying into the corners, especially later in a run or side by side, a lot of normal laps with the traction compound, we would have spun out and hit the wall, like especially in turns 1 and 2 with as flat as that is and there's no grip. It's pretty incredible, honestly. Like it'd be bad if they took it away and you tried to do a lap immediately, because you kind of have to reel it back in and get reacclimated, because it makes a huge difference and you're able to actually do some slide jobs and make moves if you have speed. Perfect.
Thank you for your time today.
All right, and Austin, before we let you go, this Friday night you'll have the opportunity to be in the booth for the ARCA race. Tell us a little bit about that opportunity, and are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, absolutely. I've spent my entire life watching races and listening to broadcasters, and even my daily prep or weekly prep before races, I listen to the broadcasters from the prior race. So I've heard it a lot, and so I'm excited to get some perspective. It'll be cool in another sense. From a performance side, it gives me an opportunity to watch the race maybe a little closer with a few more angles and try and read up on what to expect for Saturday's race. But yeah, the ARCA Menard Series obviously usually puts on a great show there. I remember watching the race there during championship weekend. I think it was Gilliland and Ty Gibbs, and those guys were racing really hard. So hopefully it was a good race. Looked over the entry list, doing a little bit of homework, and there's quite a few good cars entered. So it should be fun. It's definitely a new experience for me. It was a little bit last minute, but definitely cool to get some time and some new perspective in ARCA Menard stuff.
All right. Well, congratulations on that opportunity. We look forward to seeing how you do in the booth. Best of luck this weekend in Phoenix.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.